Deep in the darkest corner of the Orion Arm, a massive ship drifted silently through space. Its hull, once gleaming white, now bore the scars of centuries of cosmic dust and micro-impacts. This was Earth's hope, humanity's greatest colony ship, but for 500 years, it had been nothing more than a ghost ship carrying frozen dreams. The ship's artificial intelligence, Guardian, had maintained its endless watch over 10,000 sleeping humans. For centuries, it had kept them safe in their cryopods, waiting for the day they would reach their destination. But today was different. A power surge in Section 7 threatened to disable the life support systems of 30 cryopods. Guardian had no choice. Its primary directive was clear: protect human life at all costs. With mechanical precision, it began the revival sequence for 3 key personnel. In Pod A001, Captain James Miller's eyes flickered open for the first time in 5 centuries. His mind struggled to break free from the fog of cryo sleep as the pod systems pumped revival drugs through his body. Next to him, in Pod A002, Chief Engineer Anna Reed's heart rate began to stabilize as she too returned to consciousness. And in Pod A003, Security Officer Marcus Stone's muscles twitched as feeling returned to his limbs. Warning: critical system failure imminent in Section 7. Emergency revival protocol initiated. Guardian's calm voice echoed through the revival chamber. Captain Miller, Engineer Reed, Officer Stone, please remain calm during the post-revival process. Miller was the first to sit up, his movements slow and careful. His throat felt like sandpaper when he tried to speak. Guardian, status report. Captain, the ship's systems are operating at 47% efficiency. Current date is April 15, 2847. We are approximately 1,200 light-years from Earth. Reed, who had managed to stand with the help of her pod support frame, froze. 2847. That's impossible. We were only supposed to sleep for 100 years. Correct, Engineer Reed. However, a series of navigational errors and power conservation protocols extended the journey. There is more critical information you need to know. Stone, the security officer, had already grabbed a nearby tablet, his training kicking in despite centuries of sleep. His eyes widened as he scrolled through the archived data feeds Guardian had collected over the years. Captain, his voice was rough but urgent, you need to see this. Earth's colonies. They're gone. All of them. Miller stumbled to Stone's side, his legs still remembering how to walk. The tablet showed footage of human colonies falling one by one to massive ships of unknown design. The enemy vessels moved with horrible precision, their weapons turning humanity's greatest achievements to dust. They call themselves the Dominion, Guardian explained. They emerged from the galaxy's core 200 years after your cryo sleep began. They have conquered 60% of known space. Reed joined them, her engineer's mind already analyzing the enemy ship's design. Their technology, it's different from anything in our database, but some of it looks familiar, like they built on stolen human tech. A new alarm blared through the chamber. Critical power failure in Section 7 accelerating, Guardian announced. 30 cryopods at risk. Immediate action required. Miller straightened his back, 500 years of sleep falling away as training and duty took over. Reed, get to engineering and stabilize those pods. Stone, secure the armory and begin scanning for any nearby vessels. Guardian, begin preparing revival sequences for essential personnel. Medical staff first, then military. As they moved to their tasks, Miller watched the data feeds showing the current state of the galaxy. Humanity was considered extinct, their colonies nothing but cautionary tales. The Dominion ruled through fear and oppression, using technology to enslave entire species. But they had made one mistake. They had left Earth's hope drifting in the void, forgotten and intact. And now, humanity was awake again. Miller touched the ship's main control panel, feeling the subtle vibration of systems coming back to life. Guardian, Power up all essential systems. Begin ship-wide diagnostics. Yes, Captain. And sir, welcome back. In the darkness of space, Earth's hope's running lights began to glow for the first time in centuries. Humanity's last colony ship was no longer just drifting. It was awakening. And with it, the galaxy's greatest nightmare. Humans who had nothing left to lose and everything to reclaim. 3 days after the initial awakening, the revival chamber hummed with activity. Captain Miller watched as Medical Officer Thomas Ward supervised the awakening of 2 more crucial crew members, military strategist Robert Hayes and Science Officer Linda Park. Their vital signs are stable, Ward reported, checking the monitors. The modified revival protocol is working better now. Less disorientation. Miller nodded, remembering his own confused awakening. In the past few days, they had managed to stabilize the failing cryopods and revive 20 key personnel. Each awakening brought the same mix of shock, denial, and then grim determination as they learned about their new reality. Engineer Reed's voice came through the ship's comm system. Captain, you need to come to the bridge. We're picking up something interesting. Minutes later, Miller stood on the bridge with Hayes and Park, watching a holographic display of intercepted Dominion communications. The images showed massive space stations where thousands of alien beings were being processed through something called the Peace Protocol. They're changing them, Park said, her scientific detachment slipping as she analyzed the data. Genetic modification on a massive scale. Look at these beings going in versus coming out. Their brain patterns are completely different. Hayes, still wearing his cryo suit, leaned closer to the display. They're not just conquering species. They're rewriting them, making them compliant. A new transmission caught their attention. It showed a Dominion High Commander addressing his forces. The alien's voice was translated by Guardian systems. Remember, the Peace Protocol is our gift to lesser species. Through it, we free them from the chaos of free will. We must never allow another species like the humans to arise. Their unpredictability, their violence, their resistance to control. These flaws nearly broke our first attempts at galactic order. Let their extinction be a lesson to all. They fear us, Hayes said quietly. Even after all this time, they fear what humanity might do. Miller turned as Reed rushed onto the bridge. Captain, I found something in the old databanks. Before they vanished, our colonies weren't just fighting. They were winning. The Dominion didn't expect our tactics, our ways of thinking. They only gained the upper hand when they started targeting our cryo ships. They thought they got all of us. Park was already running scans on their own ship systems. The cryo fluid we used, it's different from anything in current galactic records. Our neural patterns are completely foreign to their control systems. And there's something else. She paused, double-checking her readings. The extended time in cryo sleep has changed us. Our neural pathways have been enhanced. Enhanced how? Miller asked. Faster reaction times, better memory integration, increased sensory processing. The preservation chemicals had an unexpected interaction with human biology over the centuries. We're still human, but more. The bridge fell silent as they processed this information. Hayes moved to the tactical display, his military mind already working. We have advantages they don't know about. Technology that developed along a different path. Biology they can't control. Tactics they've forgotten how to fight against. Suddenly, Guardian's alarm systems activated. Multiple ships detected at extreme range. Dominion patrol fleet. They have not detected us yet. Miller looked at his awakened crew. In just 3 days, they had learned they were ancestors, survivors, and now possibly the last hope for countless enslaved species. The weight of 5 centuries pressed down on them, along with the responsibility of their unexpected survival. Guardian, Miller commanded, begin revival sequence for all military and tactical personnel. Engineer Reed, how are our weapons systems? Primitive by their standards, but operational. And they won't be expecting them. Science Officer Park, Continue studying these neural enhancements. I want to know every advantage we have. Strategist Hayes, start analyzing their patrol patterns. We need to understand how they operate before we make any moves. The Dominion patrol ships moved past their position, unaware that they had just passed within range of humanity's last survivors. On the bridge of Earth's Hope, the crew watched them go, knowing that soon, very soon, the galaxy would remember why humanity had been feared. Miller touched the ship's memorial wall, where the names of Earth's lost colonies were etched. "They think we're extinct," he said quietly. "Time to remind them that humans are very, very hard to kill." In the depths of space, Earth's Hope waited silently, its weapons charging, its crew awakening, preparing to reignite a war that had been paused for 500 years. The training room of Earth's Hope echoed with the sound of combat practice. 2 weeks had passed since the first awakening, and the changes in the crew were becoming clear. Security Officer Stone moved through the combat course with impossible speed, his reactions far quicker than any normal human should be. "That's enough," Science Officer Park called out, checking her readings. "Your reaction time is now 3 times faster than our pre-Cryo baseline. The neural enhancements are still developing." Stone grabbed a towel, breathing easily despite the intense workout. "It's not just speed. Everything feels clearer, like my mind and body are finally working together perfectly." On the other side of the room, Engineer Reed was testing their weapons against salvaged Dominion armor they'd retrieved from an abandoned outpost. The old human weapons, considered primitive by current galactic standards, were cutting through the advanced armor with surprising effectiveness. They focused so much on energy shields, Reed explained to Captain Miller, who watched nearby. "They forgot about simple kinetic weapons. Our railguns go right through their defenses." Miller nodded, but his attention was on the main viewing screen where Guardian was displaying new information about the Dominion's control methods. The AI had been analyzing their technology nonstop. "Their entire empire is built on control," Park said, joining Miller at the screen. "The peace protocol modifies species to be receptive to their command signals. But look at this." She pointed to a scan of human brain patterns. "Our neural structure is completely different. We're immune." "Not just immune," a new voice added. Everyone turned to see Robert Hayes entering with a group of newly awakened tactical officers. "We're their worst nightmare." Hayes walked to the central display and brought up tactical simulations he'd been working on. "The Dominion fights like a hive mind. Perfect coordination, but completely predictable. They'd forgotten how to handle chaos, improvisation, everything that makes humans dangerous in combat." Suddenly, Guardian's alert system activated. Unknown vessel approaching, not matching any Dominion signatures. The crew rushed to their stations as a small ship emerged from light speed nearby. It was sleek, nearly invisible to sensors, and definitely not Dominion design. "They're broadcasting a message," Guardian announced. "Audio only." A soft, melodic voice filled the room. "Children of Earth, we have been watching. We are the Veiled. Like you, we resist the Dominion's control. We offer friendship." Miller looked at his officers before responding. "This is Captain Miller of Earth's Hope. How do we know we can trust you?" "Because we are what the Dominion fears most after humans, those who can still dream freely." After careful scans showed no threats, Miller allowed a small delegation from the Veiled ship to dock. The aliens who emerged were tall, graceful beings with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors. Their eyes held an ancient wisdom. The Veiled leader, who called herself Dawn, explained their situation. "We are empaths. The Dominion cannot control us, but they hunt us relentlessly. We lead the hidden resistance, but we lack the strength to fight openly. Then we detected your awakening." "How many are in the resistance?" Hayes asked. "Thousands of ships, millions of beings, all hiding in the shadows between stars. Waiting, hoping." Dawn's skin rippled with colors. "But now you are here. The legends of humanity's fighting spirit have grown over the centuries. Some called it savagery, but we recognized it for what it was, the unstoppable drive for freedom. Miller shared looks with his crew. They had woken up as refugees from a dead civilization, but now they were becoming something else, a symbol of hope. "We'll need to train your people," Stone said. "Teach them to fight like humans, unpredictable, adaptive. And we'll need your network," Hayes added. "Your knowledge of Dominion movements." Dawn's skin glowed with joy. "Together, we can be more than resistance. We can be liberation." In the training room of Earth's Hope, humans and aliens began working together, sharing knowledge and skills. The Dominion had spent centuries creating perfect order in the galaxy. They were about to learn that sometimes the most powerful weapon against order isn't better technology or stronger weapons. It's chaos, human chaos, and 500 years of sleep had only made humanity better at it. The Dominion Modification Center hung in space like a massive steel spider, its arms reaching out to dock the ships of its victims. Through the reinforced windows of their stealth pod, Miller and Stone watched transport vessels bring in thousands of beings destined for peace protocols. "Remember," Hayes' voice came through their comms from Earth's Hope, hidden behind a nearby moon. "We're not here to destroy the station. We're here to show the galaxy that the Dominion can bleed." The assault team consisted of 20 humans and 10 veiled warriors. Their pod, designed by Reed, using a combination of old human stealth tech and veiled cloaking methods, was completely invisible to Dominion sensors. Dawn, the veiled leader, stood next to Miller. Her skin had shifted to match the dark colors of their tactical suits. "The processing center will be heavily guarded," she whispered. "But we've mapped the patrol patterns. There's a 10-second gap in their coverage every cycle." Stone checked his rifle, an old human design modified with new power cells. 10 seconds is 9 more than we need." The moment came. A slight shift in the patrol pattern, and their pod slipped through the station's outer defenses. They landed silently in a maintenance dock, and the strike team moved out with practiced precision. The first guards they encountered never had a chance to raise the alarm. The Dominion soldiers, used to fighting predictable enemies, weren't prepared for the explosive violence of human combat mixed with veiled stealth techniques. Control room ahead. Dawn projected into their minds, her empathic ability serving as both radar and communications. "They're about to change shifts." Miller gave the signal. Stone's team breached the door using old-fashioned explosives that bypassed the station's energy shields completely. The guards inside turned, raising their weapons, but human reaction speeds had been enhanced by centuries of cryo sleep. The fight was over in seconds. "Control room secured," Stone reported. "Reed, you're up." Engineer Reed's voice crackled through their comms. "Accessing their systems now. These peace protocols are sick. They're not just modifying genes, they're erasing personalities, memories, everything that makes these beings themselves." "Can you shut it down?" Miller asked. "Better. I can reverse it. The process isn't complete until they receive their final programming. Everyone in holding is still themselves." Alarms suddenly blared through the station. A guard had managed to trigger a silent alert. Dawn's skin flickered with warning colors. "Dominion response fleet incoming. We have 10 minutes." Miller made a quick decision. "Reed, start the releases. Stone, get our people to the holding areas. We're taking them all." "All of them?" Hayes asked over the comms. "That's over 3,000 beings. Then we better work fast." The next few minutes were controlled chaos. As Reed's virus spread through the system, holding cell doors opened across the station. Stone's team and the veiled warriors led confused but grateful prisoners toward the emergency shuttles. The first Dominion response ships appeared just as the last group of prisoners was boarding. The station's weapons turned to fire on them, but Reed's hack had locked out the targeting systems. "This is why we brought the hope," Miller said with a grim smile. From behind the moon, Earth's Hope appeared, its ancient human weapons roaring to life. Rails guns that the Dominion had dismissed as primitive tore through their energy shields. Missiles carrying old nuclear payloads detonated against their hulls. "They don't remember how to fight this kind of battle," Hayes commented from the Hope's bridge. "They've forgotten what human weapons can do." As the rescue ships jumped to light speed, Miller took one last look at the station. The Dominion ships were in disarray, their perfect formation broken by weapons they had no defense against. More importantly, the galaxy would soon be flooded with stories of how the impossible had happened. A Dominion processing center had been breached, its prisoners freed. Back on Earth's Hope, Miller watched as medical teams helped the rescued prisoners. Many were crying, having believed they would never know freedom again. A young alien child approached him, eyes wide with wonder. "The others said humans were extinct," the child said. "They said you were just stories to scare children." Miller knelt down to the child's level. "Sometimes the best stories are true." In the ship's communications room, Dawn was already sending encrypted messages to resistance cells across the galaxy. The news would spread like wildfire. Humanity had returned, and the Dominion was no longer invincible. The war for freedom had begun. 1 month after the raid on the Modification Center, Earth's Hope had become the heart of a growing rebellion. In the ship's converted cargo bay, Security Officer Stone watched as hundreds of aliens learned human combat techniques. The sound of practice fights filled the massive space. Again, Stone called out to a group of tall, four-armed warriors. "Remember, unpredictability is your weapon. The Dominion expects patterns. Don't give them any." Nearby, Engineer Reed was teaching another group how to modify their weapons with old human technology. "Their shields are tuned to stop energy weapons," she explained. "Simple physical projectiles will go right through. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways." Captain Miller stood on the observation deck with Hayes and Dawn, watching the training below. The veiled leader's skin shimmered with excitement as more resistance ships appeared out of light speed to join their growing fleet. "Your success at the Modification Center changed everything," Dawn said. "Word has spread through every enslaved system. They're calling it the Great Liberation. More ships arrive every day." Hayes pointed to a holographic map showing their current position. "We've established 5 hidden bases in abandoned human colonies. The Dominion never bothered to monitor these systems after they thought they'd killed us all." Miller nodded. "Our own ghost worlds have become our greatest advantage." He watched as another resistance ship emerged from lightspeed, this one carrying refugees from a system that had openly rebelled against the Dominion. Science Officer Park burst into the room, her eyes bright with excitement. "Captain, we found another one." Everyone gathered around as she brought up a new star chart. A faint signal pulsed on the display, coming from a distant sector of space. "Another colony ship?" Miller asked, hardly daring to hope. "Yes. The signal's weak, but it matches our Cryo systems exactly. It's the Aurora. She was headed for the Carina sector when Earth fell." This was their third discovery of a lost human ship. The first 2 had been destroyed, their cryopods empty. But if the Aurora was intact, how many colonists? Hayes asked. 5,000, if she's fully loaded, and her course took her far from any Dominion expansion. She might have slept through the whole war, just like we did. Miller was about to respond when Guardian's alert system activated. "Priority warning. Dominion fleet movements detected. The Crimson Guard has been mobilized." The room fell silent. The Crimson Guard was the Dominion's elite enforcement fleet, used only when they needed to make an example of someone. Dawn's skin paled to a ghostly white. "They're done treating us like an annoyance," Hayes said grimly. "They're bringing in their best." Miller studied the tactical display, showing the Crimson Guard's movement patterns. How many ships? 300 capital ships, supported by over 1,000 smaller vessels, Guardian reported. They are systematically searching every sector where resistance activity has been reported. "They'll find us eventually," Stone said, having joined them from the training area. "We need to evacuate the bases." But Miller was looking at the map differently now, seeing not the danger, but the opportunity. "No, we don't run. This is exactly what we need. Sir, Hayes raised an eyebrow. Look at their search pattern. It's perfect, methodical. Exactly what we'd expect from the Dominion. They're looking for us exactly where and how we'd expect them to look. A slow smile spread across Hayes' face as he understood, which means we know where they won't be looking. Dawn. Miller turned to the Veiled Leader. How quickly can your people spread a rumor through the occupied worlds? A rumor about where the humans might strike next. Dawn's skin rippled with colors of understanding. Very quickly. The Dominion's own communication networks will carry it for us. Their slaves hear everything. Good, because we're going to tell them exactly where to find us. And while the Crimson Guard is chasing shadows, we'll be finding the Aurora, Reed finished, and waking up 5,000 more humans who don't know they're supposed to be extinct. In the cargo bay below, the training continued. Former slaves learned to fight like humans, to think like humans, to break the patterns the Dominion had forced upon their species for centuries. Every day, more ships arrived, more beings joined the resistance. The Crimson Guard was coming to exterminate a rebellion. Instead, they would help spread it across the stars. Because sometimes, the best place to hide isn't in the shadows. Sometimes, the best hiding place is right in the center of the enemy spotlight. Science Officer Park hadn't slept in 3 days. The lab aboard Earth's Hope was covered in holographic displays showing brain wave patterns, neural maps, and Dominion control frequencies. Empty coffee cups littered her desk, one of the few Earth luxuries they'd managed to recreate. "You need to see this," she called out as Captain Miller entered the lab. "I think I've found something incredible." Miller looked at the complex displays. "Make it simple for me, Linda. Remember how our neural patterns are different from anything in the galaxy now? I've been studying why the Dominion's control signals don't affect us. But look at this." She brought up 2 wave patterns side by side. This is a normal human brain wave. And this is what happens when we broadcast it through our Cryo tech. The second pattern showed massive amplification and complex interference patterns. The preservation chemicals we used in our cryopods, Park explained, they didn't just enhance our neural pathways. They created a completely new type of brain wave pattern. And when we broadcast it, she pressed a button. A nearby Dominion control device they'd salvaged sparked and went dead. Miller's eyes widened. "You're saying we can disrupt their control systems?" "Not just disrupt. Completely shut them down. The same thing that made us immune could free everyone under their control." The doors slid open as Hayes and Reed rushed in. "Captain," Hayes said urgently, "the Crimson Guard took the bait. They're heading to the false coordinates we leaked." "But we've got another problem," Reed added. "We found the Aurora, but she's not alone. There's a Dominion control hub in the same sector. A big one." Miller looked at the tactical display they brought up. The Aurora drifted silently in a debris field, seemingly untouched, but less than a light year away stood one of the Dominion's massive control hubs, a station that maintained their control signals over an entire sector of space. "How many ships guard it?" Miller asked. 50 capital ships at least," Hayes replied. "We can't fight through that, even with our whole fleet." Park stood up, her exhaustion forgotten. "Maybe we don't have to fight. Captain, that hub is perfect. If we can get inside and broadcast our disruptive signal from there, we could free an entire sector at once," Reed finished, catching on quickly. "The hub's own transmission network would carry the signal." Dawn entered the lab, her skin dark with concern. "The Crimson Guard will realize they've been tricked soon. We have perhaps 2 days before they return." Miller looked at the displays showing both their threat and their opportunity. "Then we have 2 days to pull off the impossible." He turned to his crew. "Park, can you modify our cryo systems to broadcast the disruptive signal?" "Yes, but we'll need to be inside the hub. The signal has to be fed directly into their network." "Reed, how close can you get us to that station without being detected?" The engineer smiled. "With the new stealth systems, right up to their front door." "Hayes, get me a tactical plan for a small insertion team. We'll need to split their forces somehow. Already thinking about it, sir. The Aurora would make excellent bait. Dawn's skin flickered with determination. My warriors will help. We can sense the guards before they see us. Miller nodded. We'll need everything and everyone, because we're not just going to free one sector. He looked at his crew, seeing the same fire in their eyes that he felt. We're going to broadcast the signal to every hub in the galaxy. We're going to free everyone. The next hour was a blur of preparation. Throughout Earth's hope, resistance fighters prepared for battle. In the engineering bay, Reed and her team modified their Cryo tech into weapons that could shatter the Dominion's mental chains. Park worked frantically to perfect the disruptive signal, while Hayes planned their assault down to the second. They had one shot at this. If they failed, the Crimson Guard would return to find them. If they succeeded, the galaxy would change forever. In his quarters, Miller touched the memorial wall one last time. The names of Earth's lost colonies seemed to shine in the dim light. Guardian. He called out, send the signal to all resistance cells. It's time. Through the vast darkness of space, hundreds of hidden resistance ships powered up their engines. The final battle for freedom was about to begin. The Dominion control hub loomed before them, a massive structure of dark metal and pulsing energy fields. On the bridge of Earth's hope, Captain Miller watched as their plan unfolded. Aurora's automated distress beacon activated. Hayes reported. Dominion ships are responding. 50% of their defense fleet is moving to investigate. Miller nodded. The empty colony ship would keep them busy for a while. Reed, status of our stealth systems. Holding steady. The modifications from the Veiled are working perfectly. We're invisible to their sensors. In the launch bay, the strike team made final preparations. Stone checked his weapons while Park secured the modified Cryo tech broadcaster to her back. Dawn and 5 of her best warriors stood ready, their skin matching the dark colors of their tactical suits. Remember, Miller addressed the team. We only need 10 minutes to reach the central control room. Once Park activates the broadcaster, the hub's own network will do the rest. Through the ship's windows, they could see other resistance vessels hiding in the debris field, waiting for their moment. Everything depended on perfect timing. Sir, Guardian's voice came through the comms. Priority alert. The Crimson Guard has discovered our deception. They've changed course and are returning at maximum speed. Hayes quickly calculated. We have 40 minutes before they arrive. Maybe less. Then we do this in 30, Miller said. Launch the strike team. Their stealth pod detached from Earth's hope, gliding silently toward the hub. As they approached, Dawn's mental powers guided them through gaps in the patrol patterns. The massive station grew larger in their viewport. They're so sure of their defenses, Stone whispered. They never expected anyone to get this close. The pod landed softly on the outer hull. Using cutting tools designed to bypass energy shields, they burned through into a maintenance tunnel. The moment they were inside, Dawn's skin flickered with warning colors. Guards approaching, she projected into their minds. 3 squads. Stone smiled. Let's show them how humans fight. The battle was swift and silent. Enhanced human reflexes combined with veiled stealth tactics made them unstoppable. Within minutes, they were moving deeper into the station. Back on Earth's hope, Miller watched as more Dominion ships left the hub to investigate the Aurora. Launch the second phase, he ordered. Across the debris field, resistance ships began broadcasting false signals, appearing and disappearing on Dominion sensors like ghosts. The remaining defense fleet scattered in confusion, trying to chase targets that weren't there. The strike team reached the central levels of the hub. Here, the walls pulsed with energy, the physical manifestation of the control signals that enslaved billions. The control room is ahead, Dawn warned. Many guards, and something else, something powerful. They found out what it was when they breached the final door. A high commander of the Dominion stood waiting, surrounded by elite guards. The alien being towered over them, its ceremonial armor gleaming. Humans, It spoke, its voice filled with contempt. You should have remained extinct. Your chaos has no place in our perfect order. Perfect order. Miller stepped forward. You mean perfect slavery. The High Commander raised its weapon. You cannot stop what we have built. We are in every system, every planet. Our control is absolute. Park was already moving, protected by stone, and the veiled warriors. She reached the main console and began connecting their device. You're right, Miller said, drawing the commander's attention. We can't stop what you built, but we can use it against you. The modified Cryo tech activated. Park's device connected to the hub's network, and for a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the High Commander stumbled. What? What is this? Its mental connection to the control systems was dissolving. Throughout the hub, throughout the sector, throughout the galaxy, the signal spread. The Dominion's own network carried humanity's gift of chaos to every corner of their empire. On thousands of worlds, billions of beings felt the mental chains break. The High Commander fell to its knees as its control over its slaves vanished. In orbit, Dominion ships stopped in confusion as their mentally controlled crews awakened to freedom. The Crimson Guard arrived to find their greatest nightmare, a galaxy awakening from centuries of slavery, led by the very species they had failed to exterminate. Dawn's skin glowed with colors never seen before as reports flooded in from across space. It's happening everywhere. The control signals are failing. Everyone is free. Miller helped Park pack up their device. Their part was done. Now the real work would begin, helping a galaxy of freed slaves learn to live, to think, and to fight for themselves. Guardian, he called to the ship's AI. Send a message to all frequencies, from humanity to the galaxy. Welcome back to freedom. As they left the hub, Miller looked at his team, human and alien together. They had done more than win a war. They had proven that no matter how long tyranny lasted, the desire for freedom never died. Humanity had returned from extinction, and they had brought the greatest gift of all, chaos, beautiful chaos, back to the stars.